This is James Lupton for Round 8 Boxing. Delighted to be joined with Mary Spencer. Mary, how are you?
I'm good, James. Thanks for having me.
Good, no worries at all. Thanks for coming on. Um, I want to take you back to the beginning a little bit, Mary. Just talk to me about your introduction to boxing. Do you remember your first day in the gym when it was, what it was like?
I do actually. Uh, yeah, I'm actually down the street from the first gym that I ever walked into, here in Windsor, Ontario. I I went there with a friend just to work out, get in shape, and it was a cool atmosphere. I love sports, so I walked in and I saw a bunch of guys there, a bunch of girls there. The girls really surprised me because when I was younger, I wanted to box. My dad told me that it wasn't for girls, so I believed him. And well, in a way, I believed him. But anyways, um, I didn't think it was a thing that so many girls actually trained. So I was really pleasantly surprised to see the number of women who were in the gym, sparring and stuff like that. So, but I mean, this is 23 years ago that this happened. But yeah, I was kind of really drawn to the sport.
You mentioned there, so you wanted to learn to box when you was younger, but your dad said no, it's a male dominated sport, etc.
Yeah.
How old were you at that time when you wanted to go into it, and why did you want to start boxing at that age?
I was probably about 10 or 11 years old, actually. And I just really was drawn to fighting. I loved fighting. I used to fight. At that time, I was fighting after school, but I wasn't, I was doing it secretly, not telling anyone. So when he said that it wasn't for girls, in my head, I knew he was wrong about that. Like I knew that girls could do it, but I believed him that it wasn't available for women to go to the gym or whatever. But yeah, I was really drawn to fighting at a young age, so that's what drew me to it.
How did that make you feel when you was told, no, it's not for girls, you can't go to the gym, you can't do what you want to do, essentially?
Well, that's an interesting question because like the one thing that I remember thinking was just like, oh, my dad's wrong. And at that age, like, you know, you think your parents know everything. You think your parents are right about everything. And that was the first time that I was like, oh my God, my dad's he's wrong about this because I was fighting boys after school, and so if they can go boxing, I can go boxing. So I knew it didn't make sense. And I didn't know how to explain that to him without ratting myself out. So I didn't bother. I just kind of, went back and forth a few times. And he really shut me down. And I just remember going to my room and thinking I was going to do my own boxing workout. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just did arm circles till my arms fell off and went to bed.
And at what point, sort of from when you started going to the boxing gym and started training, did you want to pursue it or know that you had some talent doing it?
On the first day in the gym, I met the coach and he was very inspiring, I guess. Maybe that's not the right word, but he came up to me at the end of the training and he said, you could be really good. You're tall, you got a good size for a boxer, you're athletic, and you hit hard. If you came to this gym and let me train you every day for a year, you'd be Canadian champion. And I was like, what, really? Like that sounded really good. Sounded like a great deal. And I guess that's what motivated me. I mean, I'm sure I wanted to fight as soon as I saw that girls could fight, but that certainly was something that motivated me. And I didn't realize till months later that he said that to everybody. But I mean, when he said it to me, I was like, okay, cool. That sounds like a good deal. So
Was that for you the all the motivation that you needed to really, really get your head down and crack on with it, essentially?
no, that was not all I needed. In fact, I was really excited about that for about 3 days, and then got distracted with other things. Other things in life came up, and it was actually a process of maybe half a year of just hit and miss at the gym, and then I kind of had a little intervention happen, and I was introduced to a boxing coach in my hometown who was a famous boxing coach. He's a four-time Olympic coach, and I'm from a city of about 250,000 people, so it's not very big. We know our athletes and sports stars, and he was certainly someone that everyone in the town knew. And I didn't go to his gym. I was brought to him though, to see if he wanted to train me, and there was a lot of reasons why I wasn't showing up every day. and putting the work in. I wanted to. I thought it sounded great, but I mean, I was 17-year-old punk, and it took this coach who was a tough coach, and yeah, like I said, it went down kind of like an intervention, and he didn't even ask me if I wanted to train. He just asked me where I lived and told me he was going to pick me up at 5:30 in the morning, and that's what happened. He started picking me up at 5:30 in the morning, take me to the gym, and the rest is history, I guess.
Talk to me about your career so far, amateur and pro. What's been your favorite memory so far?
Oh, it's a hard question. That's a very hard question. My favorite memory. I had a lot of experience in the amateurs. I was on the national team for almost a decade. Um, I traveled all around the world, boxing for a good 10 years of my life. I got to compete in five world championships, the first Pan Am Games that included women, the first Olympics that included women, and then I sort of uh, training took a hit after that, and I slowed down and eventually just kind of petered out and disappeared for a few years before I got the bug again and wanted to turn pro and didn't really know how to go about it, but things kind of came together and yeah, now I've been in the pros for a few years and had 11 fights, and we'll see where it goes.
You mentioned there, obviously, you was involved in the first Pan Am Games and the first Olympics that were allowing women to compete. Talk to me about
Mhm.
the change in women's boxing and, like you say, allowing them to compete essentially at these high levels. What's it been like for you to be involved in that from before to during, and obviously how it's getting to now?
It has been an absolute pleasure to see the growth of women's boxing. And, something that sticks out in my mind was, after the Olympics, I remember taking some time off and then wandering into the gym one afternoon and I just told you the story a few minutes ago about, when I was 10 years old, my dad told me boxing's not for girls and shut down that idea. So I remember after the Olympics going to the boxing club and I saw a dad there with his 10-year-old daughter. And like to see that, man, it was really cool. Like you didn't see that when I was younger at all. It was the opposite. So it's really neat to see that. And so, now girls are starting younger and the sport's changing and it's really wonderful to be a part of it.
Who would you say has been your inspirations in boxing?
I've had a lot, I think that when I first started, my inspiration was Jennifer Smith. She was world champion at 132 pounds when I was a rookie on the team. It was her last year on the team because they used to age out at 35, so she was 35 at that time. But she was a world champion, and I looked up to her so much, not just because she was world champion and she was a good fighter, but she was so tough. She had so much grit and so much heart, and she was a hard worker. And just everything about her, I think I really looked up to, and I still do.
I want to ask you about winning the interim title. You fought Naomi Mans. Talking about the emotion, the aftermath, the build up to that title fight, obviously becoming a champion for you. What did that mean to you?
Um, well, okay, so I won three world championships in the amateurs, and to be honest, this world championship meant the least. Only, and I'll tell you why. Because I was elevated to world champion. It was an interim fight, and then I'm elevated, and it's also completely different in the pros and in the amateurs. The amateurs, you have to go to a tournament and fight the best of each country, and you have to win to keep moving forward. It's a completely different feeling. So I was kind of surprised at how there was maybe a little bit of a lack of excitement about it, to be honest. But I see it for what it is, and as an athlete, what it is a fight. And I get the fans, it's something different. It's a world title, but to an athlete, to me, anyways, it's a fight, and it's hard to see it as more than a fight. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense, but it's hard to see it as more than that.
No, it doesn't. It's very interesting, actually. It's quite refreshing to hear you say that because not a lot of fighters would openly admit to that. Do you feel, obviously,
Mhm.
we know with professional boxing, the politics involved. we're not always seeing the best fight the best, and certain people might get rankings here, there, and everywhere for sort of lower ranked titles, give them higher rankings, and potentially almost leapfrogging better fighters essentially in the rankings. Do you feel the amateur setup was better for that? You like you say, tournaments, you fight the best of the best. You might fight a few people in the same day as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, amateur boxing is pure sport, and professional boxing is entertainment through sport. So it's very, very different. And yeah, absolutely, the amateurs, you had the best fighting the best constantly. And I saw some really amazing fight, not just the fights that I was in fighting the best, but I saw other people the best fighting the best. I saw some crazy fights that would just be incredible if they ever happened in the pros, but they probably won't. So yeah, I mean, amateur boxing is pure sport. It's refreshing, but I mean, this is entertainment. It's a lot of fun. They're very different. It's hard to compare, to be honest.
Would you say in some way you preferred the amateurs?
I like the pros. Like maybe it's just I'm different now than I was when I was younger. I'm not sure, but I like it. Um, I like that it's more of a fight. Amateur boxing is not anything like pro boxing. They're very different. And I think I prefer professional boxing. But there's a lot of things that I miss about the amateurs. And yeah, like the rankings and how you move up and that type of thing. But I mean, it's hard to compare. Like I said, like pro boxing is so fun, and the fact that it's for entertainment actually makes it more fun because you can fight in venues that are full and people are excited, where like I went to world titles that saw the best boxers in the world fighting each other. No one was even in the stands. So it's really hard to compare the two. But I think I'm having more fun in the pros. I just yeah, saw a lot of great matchups in the amateurs.
You mentioned there about the fans, packed out arenas, etc., the atmosphere of a professional fight night. What's that like for a fighter when you're trying to be fully focused on your opponent, your fight? You in the changing rooms beforehand, you're getting your hands wrapped and you can hear the buzz. For you, how is it to still stay tunnel vision whilst you're walking out to the ring and your fans are cheering for you, and while you're during the fight, every punch landing it gets a cheer. What's that like for you as a fighter?
Yeah, you got to practice getting used to that. You do. Because it hypes you up, it gets you excited, it makes you want to like throw hard. Well, that's what it does to me anyways. Um, it's fun. It's a level of excitement that honestly I'm not always used to. Like sure the Olympics was exciting, everyone was watching, but it's like we went from 0 to 100. Like I said, we went from championships with zero spectators to the Olympic Games. There was really nothing in between, not really anyway. But yeah, in the pros, you just got to get used to that atmosphere and being able to stay focused. And that's something that I haven't really mastered, but I'm hoping to have a better grasp on the next fight. Is really just tuning it out and making sure to stay focused on the fight in front of me.
Well, you mentioned your next fight. It's April 10th. You're fighting
Mm-hmm.
Suarez, defending your title. Very experienced fighter. It
Mm-hmm.
was due a few weeks back. It's been postponed. Firstly, how do you deal with a postponement of a fight when you're trying to peak at the right time during camp?
You worry about the things that are in your control, and oftentimes the only thing that is in your control is your attitude about the situation. So that's my go-to, is just to make sure that I reset, like originally initially I should say, when I hear the news of it being postponed, it's a little frustrating. It can throw you off a little bit, but it's really important to reset as soon as possible and recognize positives and the negatives that are coming together, and try and capitalize on the positives as much as possible.
Definitely, like you say, control the controllables. In terms of
Yeah.
Suarez, your opponent, like I say, very experienced record of 31 wins, five losses, one draw. Have you seen much of her in terms of trend? Do you view a lot of footage and tape of her? What do you make of her as a fighter?
I watched a fight a couple years ago against her against Shadesha Green, and I saw her quit. I saw her quit after 5 rounds, and I feel like a fighter who quits, that stays in your mind, that stays in your heart, and you're really open to quitting again. I know she had a decent fight with a girl from Quebec, a world title back in the day. I think it was a shutout or close to a shutout, but it was kind of, a close-ish fight. But yeah, the most recent one that I saw, she quit after 5, and she didn't look hurt. And I'm not sure what happened there, but um, I guess we'll see. Yeah, she is very experienced, but I mean, that's not something that I'd expect from an experienced fighter.
No, absolutely. I think, like you say, it's very telling about
Mm,
somebody's heart and desire when that does happen, if that's the
yeah,
case. Just finally, I want to come on to obviously mention about your division. Cecilia Brackhouse, obviously a mainstay in female boxing, a very well-respected fighter. Chrissy Cyborg, so these big names. That these the fights that excite you? These are fights that you want to get involved in with these big names. Obviously, world champion at the highest level, but in terms of opponents and their reputation, do you want to get in these bigger fights?
you know what? I want to get in bigger fights, but I also want to get in bigger fights with bigger girls. I'm watching these. There's not that many big girls, but the ones that I am seeing, I would absolutely love to get in there and be the smaller fighter who's moving around them. It's a different style, right? And in the amateurs, I had years under my belt as a welterweight, and then I was forced up to middleweight for a chance at the Olympics. So then I became the smaller fighter, fighting the bigger fighter. I do like that. I wanted to jump into the pros at my proper weight category, and that was welterweight, and now I'm fighting at super welterweight. But I really do think that style wise, me fighting the big girls is fun and exciting, and I hope I get a chance to do that.
So could we see you, for example, move up to like say that middleweight in the amateurs there? Could we see you moving up weights to get the, you know, I'd say more recognised as more marketable fighters and for you to better yourself as well?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope that does happen.
Fantastic. It'd be great to see. Well, Mariona, thank you very much for your time. All the best of luck for April 10th. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks a lot, James. Take care.